Hi guys, and welcome back to part 10 of our R2-D2 tutorial here in Blender. So what we're going to do in this tutorial is carry on from where we left off with working on the head. So we created the panel lines using non-destructive modifiers. So we just used the modifier stack to create the panel lines on the head area. What we're going to do in this tutorial now is begin to create this part here, which sticks out from the head. And we're going to use a Boolean modifier, which allows us to subtract some geometry from another, which can be quite useful, as you will see. So we're going to go to a front view, jump over into edit mode, and switch to material so it's transparent so we can see through there. And basically we want to select, using our box select, some faces here. I'm going to select these faces up there and up here. So I hit B for box select again, we'll select everything inside there. Now once we've selected these, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm just going to deselect this row here, I think. Okay, so once we've done that, we can extrude them out just a little bit. Go back into solid view. We hit E to extrude, and we'll come out just a bit. Actually, I've also got these faces here selected. We will just box select shift to deselect those. Okay, E to extrude. We're only going to come out a little bit, and then what we want to do is hit R and X to rotate on the X-axis, just to slope that slightly like so. Once we've done that, we can go to normal, drag it in a little bit. Okay, so now we've got this part done. The next part we're going to need is the little slots cutting in there. So there's a slot here on the right side. Now that, believe it or not, can actually be quite tricky to make by deleting faces and having to reconstruct these inner faces. So there's an easier way of doing it, which is the Boolean modifier and the subtracting one geometry from another. So what we're going to start by doing is go back over into object mode, and we'll create a cube. Now this cube object we're going to approximately drag into place. To scale it down. Now we're going to go to a right side view. Scale this on the Z-axis. We're going to rotate it on the X-axis until it approximately matches the slope of here. And then again with normal selected, so that we can drag this shape around quite easily. I'm going to scale on the X. And then we'll go to a top view, because we need to rotate this on the Z-axis so it lines up like so. Once we are done with all of this, lining that up, which I think we've done satisfactorily, select the head. We'll add a new modifier, which will be a Boolean modifier. We select the cube we just created, and we change to difference. Then we can hit apply. We can select this cube, delete it, and look at what we're left with. We're left with this channel cut out of there. So if we go over into edit mode, you'll find that then we can select these and we can manipulate those faces. however we wish. So there's quite a neat way of being able to create this notch and subtract objects from other objects. Now you can rotate this face just to even things up if need be. And there we go. Now I want to apply some color to this. So I'm going to go to the front view, hit B for box select. I'm going to grab these faces here. Again, B, box select, grab these faces up here, Shift and Option to grab those, and this one, and then these faces along the bottom. So we're going to add some color to this, which will be the blue color. So once we're happy all those faces selected, come over, grab our blue material and assign. There's one little bit there that we missed, I believe. Okay, I'm going to join up those vertices just to clean up the geometry a little bit. It's just a little bit of leftover from our subtraction. Sometimes a little bit of cleaning up that he's doing, but not much. And there we go, now our geometry is nice and clean again. Okay, now we've done this, we need to create the slot. Now you could do this in the same way, create a cube, position it, subtract, but an easy way for us in this instance is just going to be to extrude that out, or extrude it inwards rather. So I'll grab the knife tool, and we'll just drag the knife across the faces that we wish to do it to. We'll grab those lower faces that we just created, hit E to extrude, and we just extrude those in. And there's our slot. So you can see there's different ways of editing the mesh. Some ways are more applicable to others. You know, you could have used the object subtract here, but it's actually quicker to use extrude. In this instance, you could have deleted the individual faces and reconstructed the faces, but it was easier to just use the object, the Boolean modifier to subtract one object from another. So now we've done with that, the next thing we want to do is make our circle. So we need a circle in the middle of this area, which we're going to use the knife project again. So we just go to the front view. We'll create a circle. Drag this circle out. We'll rotate on the x-axis until it's almost parallel with our surface there. Position it and scale. Once we've done that, select both objects, edit mode, tools, knife project. Now you'll see we have our circle there. I'm going to grab these faces, C for circle select. We'll go around, grab all of these, make sure that we get everything. E to extrude, just extrude that in. Now the bottom of this in our reference image here is this dark grey color, so that's what we're going to go with. You can see in this reference image it's slightly domed. So we do have a few different reference images we can look at, and it does indeed seem to be slightly domed. So what we can do is create a sphere which we can insert into there later. So for now we'll just leave this as it is. We can delete now our circle because we don't need it anymore. Now I'd like to bevel some of these edges. But because of the way we're creating the panel lines, sometimes adding a bevel can make some strange results. As I said earlier, there's trade-offs sometimes. We use an easier method for creating the panel lines on the head, but it also means that we may have to sacrifice some small details, because if we bevel edges now, sometimes it can make a problem with the geometry because we're using a bevel modifier and an edge split modifier to create those panel lines. We'll see how it turns out. If we don't like it, we can always go back. Okay, we've got all those edges selected. Control B, 0.002. Let's go for a very small one. I'll have 2 segments. Come back out into object mode. I don't think that looks too bad. A little bit blocky around here though. It's not quite so smooth anymore. See if we can fix that a bit. Maybe not. So in that case, we can actually probably forego the beveling. Maybe we can just have the bevel around this edge here. So if we just grab those edges, Control B, see how that looks. We'll just go without the bevel. Because of the way we're creating the panel lines, it's causing some problems when we bevel these edges. So for now, we'll just leave this as it is. Just check out some of this geometry here. I think we're okay. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is just create a sphere which we'll place inside of this hole. So object mode, create a sphere, drag this out, and size it. And come over into edit mode. And we'll grab half of the faces. A little more than half. Don't need much of this sphere left. Okay, go into object mode. So this piece of the sphere here, we're going to put into position. It's going to need rotating on the x-axis around, dragging in, go to the front view so we can position it. S to scale. Drag it back inside the face. Okay, it's looking about right. Okay, and we'll just give that some color. Create a new material slot. Choose our dark material. There we go. Okay, so that's about it for this part of the tutorial. You can see now how you can use the Boolean modifier to subtract an object from another. We've added in some more details to the head here, so things are beginning to really kind of take shape. These other objects here are quite straightforward to make out of some tubes and some spheres. You should be familiar with the modeling techniques to make those, so I'll go over those very quickly in the next tutorial, but it'll just be a very short tutorial next time on how to create one of these, and then you can create the rest of them yourself. There's several of these telescopic kind of eye parts which stick out around the head. There's a couple at the rear and one at the front there. Okay, so thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.